Hello everyone, in this video I am going to explain you what is the comparison between the authentication and the authorization. So the first definition is authentication. So it is the process of determining whether the someone or something is in fact who or what it say it is. That means it is the process of validating the identity of the user and it returns the value either like true or false. So it means either it is 1 or 0. But how it will be said in case of authentication, there are two steps. The first one is identification and the second one is central authentication. Then how we are authenticate the user and how we are validating the identity of that particular user. For example, you are the user and you want to log in into your system. So for login, you have your own username and password. So whenever user enters his correct username and password, that time it returns the value 1. And if it is wrong, it returns the value 0. So these are the two Boolean values will be set for identification. Whether the user will be correct, then it returns the value true, and if it is wrong, it will return false. So based on the identification in the first step, the user will be identified. If he is entering the correct username and password, then your user will be valid user. And in case of a second is the central authentication. If it returns the value true, then it will give access to your particular account. So it is called as a authentication. That is called as a central authentication. So these are the two steps that are involved in the authentication. So you can see in this diagram, this is the username and password page. That is our login page. If the user is entering the correct identity of the user, then it will be success and user will get access to particular account. And this is happening with the help of authentication. Now, there are three mechanisms of authentication to confirm the user's identity. So, the first one is something you know, second one is something you have, and the third one is something you are. So, in case of something you know, user knows password, their PIN number, passphrases, secret handshake, and their mother's maiden name. So these are the factors that users knows it. If sometimes you are forgetting your password, that time they will pop up security questions. And in that they are asking for your PIN number, they are asking for your different password that you have set, your passphrases, your mother's maiden name, and different questions like this. If the user is having some information that he already knows it, then that is called as a something the user knows. That is the first factor of your authentication. Now, the second technique is something the user has. So first one is ID card, then physical keys, then driver's license card. These are the examples of the identity that person can be recognized. If suppose you are going to your school or your college, then based on your ID card, based on your employee ID card, the user will be verified. Physical keys are also used to lock your door. If you have your own key, then you can easily unlock your door. So these are the examples of something the user have. Now the third one is something the user are. So this is the also one kind of authentication factor. We are using the concept of biometric, then fingerprint scan, pattern of person's voice scan, and the face recognition. So these are the examples of something the user are. So this is called as a third factor of your authentication, something the user are. In case of something the user have, if someone have your key, then he can also open your door. He can also unlock your door. But in case of something the user are, if you have to identify the person based on the fingerprint, based on the face recognition, then this is the very hard security factor that can be considered. So these are the three factors or three mechanisms that we are considering in the authentication mechanism. That is something you know, something you have, and something you are. And all these three factors are important in our authentication to maintaining the security of our login credentials. Now, the next topic is what is the comparison between that authentication and authorization. So here, in case of authentication, we are entering the username and password. If it is correct, if the user is valid, that time our system will return the value true, that is 1, and user will get access after clicking on that login button. So what is the first step? User has to enter their username and password, and once he will click on the login button, his or her identity will be checked by authentication server. If it is correct, it will return true and user will get access to their account. So whenever user will get access to their particular account, that concept is called as a authorization. So it gives permission to access a particular resource. So how they are giving the permission to the resources? In any organization, we have multiple factors and multiple roles and responsibilities will be given according to their roles of particular organization of that institute. Suppose we are considering it as admin account, then staff account, and next one is student account. Admin has his own username and password. Staff is also having his own username and password. And student is also having their own username and password. So depending on their username and password, each and every account is having different access control. Some factors that are not included in the student account, but it is included in the staff account. And some things will be added in the admin, but that are not available in the staff account. So based on the rights and rules and regulations that are assigned to each and every account, the admin, staff and student can access their account details. So here, how it is happening? Based on the username, they can define whether it is an admin, it is a staff or it is a student. So based on the identity, user will get access and user will get permission to access a particular resource and account. That is called as a authorization. So in comparison between that authentication and authorization, we can say that in case of authentication, we are entering the username and password and we are checking whether the user is valid or not. And in case of authorization, the permissions and access will be provided to user's account based on the permission will be specified by the admin account. So that is the difference between authentication and authorization. Now you can see in this diagram, here in case of authentication, what you are checking, who are you? Whether you are an admin, then you are a staff or student. That will be identified by this authentication system. Based on the identity, it will be identified and they are checking whether the user is valid or not. And in case of authorization, we are checking what permissions do you have? Based on the roles, the permissions will be already defined. And based on that particular permission, user will get access to particular account. And part of the account they can handle. So that is called as the permissions will be assigned to the user in the concept of authorization. So that is the difference between the authentication and authorization. In the next video, I will explain you what is the concept of multi-factor authentication.